For example, if you get a fever or one of your kids gets a fever, you do not need to rush to the medical doctor or to the hospital. A fever is a normal reaction to an infection or a poison in your kid's body. And the fever is a part of your God designed immune response to eliminate, cook to death the bacteria, yeast, and fungus or parasite living in your body that it has detected. If you're going to use Tylenol, Advil, Motrin, like your medical doctors are going to tell you to do to reduce the fever, your kid now, immune system's being suppressed, they're going to be sicker longer.
Take
So
two.
what do we so what do we think? Is it going to work? What do you
Fingers crossed.
think? I think it's you, man. They're targeting you, brother.
Yeah, they're all over me. They knew what was going on. They read my emails. They know I'm speaking to you. You're hot property
Anytime,
at the moment, so
all
it's
they're doing is using AI to scan all emails, all internet access for the word spelled ARDIS.
you.
Seriously, man, they do it.
Well, you
Sabotage.
know what? I don't doubt it. I think I've had conversations on here before with like satanic ritual abuse victims and things like that, and it just gets staticky. Whereas every other video or like podcast just goes smooth sailing, But when
Yeah.
someone's in hot contention, I think they do fuck around with it.
Oh, they do. 100%, man.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Well, I
running smooth
appreciate you.
now so far.
Yeah, yeah, it's working good. I appreciate your patience and thank you so much for coming back on again. The last time we spoke, we covered a bunch of things which were in relation to your book and the latest work that you've been doing at that time, which was I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago or something like that at the moment. And I've got to tell you, it's such, again, like we were talking about before, all of your content seems to just, it riles people up. I don't know how else to put it. They get worked up about your licorice root and things like natural things and the nicotine. Oh my God, everyone's just like, yeah,
Oh,
they're
just
for
wait. Oh, just wait, man. Yeah, it's getting out there. It's right. It's rattling some feathers. I don't care. The pharmaceutical industry runs the world, and they want all truth about natural medicine buried. So they're going to censor it, fact check it. Uh, they probably have AI generated commenters on social media posts to just try to dissuade people from continuing the conversation and just get people to dismiss the claims immediately. But oh my God,
yeah.
it's been really phenomenal to watch people's reactions, and it's very exciting. For example, three weeks ago, I released my Audible version of my book. If you want to talk
Nice.
about the impact this stuff is having as they try to censor stuff, we put it on Amazon and Audible. It took them about a month to approve it all. I recorded it all, every word.
Mhm.
From the day we released it on Audible and on Amazon.com, it is right now globally the number one best-selling Audible book in the whole world and has been every
Oh, God.
single day since we released it. So the words are getting out. It's very exciting. They can continue to try to defame, dismiss. It doesn't matter. Truth reigns, man. And when things make sense and it's logical and you can just explain it to people in a way they understand, it's not mysterious, complex, and common sense intuition rules the day usually, which is great.
Yeah, usually, yeah, it's certainly rising to the top. That's for sure. Yeah, another thing too, Brian, is that you're a shill now. Now that you're so popular, you're a plant. You know what I mean? Like
Oh
you.
yeah. Oh yeah, big farmers pay me big money to get out
That's
there and make
right.
sure all my internet social clips are flying around. It's really funny. I've done interviews with like Human Garage. They had 150 million views of a clip I did a month ago,
Yeah.
and they wanted to do a follow up. So they flew me to Bel Air last month, and I sit down and they said, "Okay, so Dr. Artis, it's being rumored all over the internet that you're being paid by big pharma to push this narrative and that nicotine
Yeah.
companies are actually paying you in order to get this information out to the masses." And this is exactly what I say to everybody. I just want everybody to know big pharma killed my father-in-law, and I haven't taken a dime from them ever, and nor will I, knowingly, never. However, if there's a nicotine company out there who wants to sponsor the Dr. Artist show, bring your money.
Yeah.
I'm wearing your products every day. Come on, man. I'm ready. I'm ready for somebody to pay me. It's really funny. I've actually had companies reaching out to me now. saying they want to pay me to sponsor my show. Nicotine companies is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Tola Vita's one of them, a newer company with a healthier brand of patches and stuff. Anyway,
Nice.
it's really quite funny. But the goal will be Tucker actually wants to take me to his new manufacturing plant for his nicotine pouches he's now
Wow.
making.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
just moved his facilities to America and he wants to take me on a tour. And I am going to introduce a partnership with that guy. We're going to produce our own products. You watch, it's coming. I'm not even going to talk to these other outfits. It's going to be fun. I'm going to make my own. Come on, bring it
That's
on.
good. Good. Well done. It's
It'll be
so
fun.
good. Can I ask you, when it comes to the nicotine, one of the things that was initially something I never really thought of, but was brought to my attention. It was like, yeah, okay, so let's go down this nicotine route. But did you know that there are so many companies that are owned by big pharma that produce the nicotine patches? How do you work around getting all of this, all this goodness? I mean, obviously, if we're choosing natural plants and things like that, well, then that's, totally fine. We want to go non-GMO, we want to go organic and all the rest of it. But how do you avoid still feeding the beast when you're trying to do good for yourself?
Yeah, it's a very good point. So, yeah, a lot of discussions here about the nicotine stuff. It's very interesting to me. For example, right now there's 200 countries who have active actions to ban systematically all tobacco products from their countries, which the reason being, they say, is to get nicotine out of circulation, right? That's the goal. Do you know who's funding all of the marketing that you see for a smoke-free world? Do you know who's doing that? I didn't know this till 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
It's actually Philip Morris Incorporated. I had no idea they're doing this, but when you go look at all their documents, you finally realize, oh, this is what y'all are doing. Okay, so Philip Morris Incorporated, the Marlboro Company, the largest manufacturer of tobacco commercial products that are
Yeah.
laced with addictive chemicals called pyrazines,
Mhm.
599 compounds the FDA allows them to add to their tobacco products. We talk about it in my book. It's amazing. Philip Morris is pushing this smoke-free world agenda and even paying. I found where they paid New Zealand 2 years ago $1 billion to produce marketing material for a smoke-free New Zealand
Holy shit.
in favor of what they are now investing a ton of money into. For example, they just bought the Zen company, ZYN,
Mhm.
in 2023 from the company called Swedish Match. When they bought Zen in 2023, it immediately raised their revenue, Philip Morris Incorporated, from $34 million in 2023 to $37.9 billion. Sorry, billions to billions.
Mhm.
They increased it by 10%, their entire revenue just buying Zen.
Damn.
Little pouches you can suck on. All right.
Mhm.
The other things they purchased are now working on e-cigarettes and vaping products. So when they say smokeless, they mean not tobacco. They mean nicotine synthetic products that they
Mhm.
can now sell to the rest of the world
Of course.
uh, in replacement of that. However, what you have to know is even after 2 years of owning Zen and having all these e-cigarette companies are buying up and producing their own products, 95% of their entire 40 billion a year revenue comes from cigarette sales worldwide. I'm like, 90% of it? I think it's just like their goodwill effort. Okay, we'll dump some money over here out of our foundations to pay these companies or countries to promote a smoke-free world when in
Mhm.
fact they have no interest in that. They are going to just jump on the nicotine train. And also to answer the question why it is pharmaceutical industry giants why they may be an issue and a concern when it comes to the nicotine ban issue and nicotine don't trust it issues, or producing nicotine patches, nicotine gum, nicotine pouches, and how can we trust them? Yeah, those should all be concerns. What I'm most concerned of is if you watch the history of big pharma, the pharmaceutical industry, all of them. Let's just talk about the Louis Pasteur Institute. You like
Mhm.
this? You ready? Let's dive in. You ready? So in the early 1800s, Louis Pasteur and their institute send out some scientists to an area of the Amazon jungle called Suramin, Suramin, Suramin.
Mhm.
Actually, it's called Sumarin, Sumarin. I reversed it. Sumarin, Sumarin, area of the jungle. They sent scientists there to go find out how the medicine men and women in the jungles keep the people in their villages who don't have ER centers and hospitals. How do you keep them alive when they get bit by deadly venomous snakes, spiders, and scorpions and other creatures in the Amazon?
Mhm.
So they sent these scientists there. The scientists go to all the tribes. The medicine men and women tell them, actually, there's two plants we use in combination. Anytime there's a venomous bite of any kind, we go and they take the scientists into the jungles. They don't have names for the plants. They just take them into the jungle and they rip off the bark of a tree and they pick a bean off of another tree. And they tell the scientist, we take these two things, we boil them in a tea, and we make everybody drink it, and it preserves their life. They don't die from blood clots. They don't die from strokes, heart attacks. It
Yeah.
saves the person's life from those venomous snake bites and blah, blah. Those
Wow.
scientists take the two plant sources, the bark of a tree and the bean of a plant or a tree, and they take it to France, to the Louis Pasteur's Institute. Louis Pasteur's Institute tells them, chemist, break down the plants, the two different plants, bark and bean, and you tell us what is inside of both of them that is identical that's being extracted in this steeping of hot water they create a tea out of.
Mhm.
So the scientists break it down. It takes them a while to do this, but they isolate the identical component in both, and then they name it in France. They name it, and they name it coumarin, Coumarin,
Mhm.
Coumarin, coumarin. Okay, coumarin. Great. Now they've isolated the component. Then the next thing Louis Pasteur's Institute wants the chemist to do is now make a synthetic molecule identical to that coumarin.
Of course.
And it takes them decades to do this, but they do it. And then they cannot patent this new synthetic version of coumarin. So they change the name of the synthetic form of coumarin they replace the R in coumarin with a D, and they call it Coumadin, which is like the world's most prescribed blood thinner for blood clots for everybody in the world. So that's now Coumadin. Coumadin comes from two plant sources, the bark of a tree and a bean. Do you know what the bark of the tree is? What tree it is?
Well,
Cinnamon.
ah,
It's actually cinnamon bark.
you
Do you know
talk
what
about
the
sentiment a lot. Yeah.
That's right. Do you know what the bean is? The bean is called tonka beans. All right. Now, this entire discussion is in relationship to the nicotine issue in big pharma, which
Yeah.
you just brought up. The concerns about big pharma and nicotine. Yeah, I got problems here and concerns. Would you like to know what they are? This is the exact concern. In 1953, the FDA approves Coumadin to be a prescription drug for blood thinning in America. Do you want to know what the next step was? Big Pharma said this, who's making Coumadin in pill forms. You can get a prescription at CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, wherever, at your local pharmacy. The Big Pharma then tells them, all right, FDA, you now have to ban, I'm not joking, you have to ban tonka beans, which in the plant kingdom has the highest amounts of coumarin in it that they turned into Coumadin. You have to ban tonka beans from being broke down like they did at the Louis Pasteur's Institute. You can't break it down and you can't add it to our food supply. So to this day in America, there is an active FDA ban on tonka beans being added to the food supply in America in favor of the drug prescription version of coumarin found in the tonka bean for the drug you all know and love and swallow and pay copays for and go to your medical doctor for a prescription for called Coumadin. All right, this is what you need to know about nicotine and tobacco. It's the exact same thing.
Really?
All Big Pharma knows is that for 5,000 years, tobacco has been known and termed a medicinal plant,
Hmm.
meaning it provides health benefits to a human. They've known this. In fact, there's almost I've already counted up, it's almost like 150 known diseases and conditions in human illness and symptoms that are known to be cured since 1492 to 1860. I have the documents where they summarize all the healing properties of tobacco
Hmm.
for conditions like cancer, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, canker sores, cataracts. It's all in there. All of this stuff they know are cures and cured with nicotine found in tobacco. All
Wow.
right, so what is Big Pharma doing now? They are lobbying all governments around the world to actively get rid of and put bans on the plant called tobacco and any of its products made from it by the year 2030. in over 200 countries right now. They are actively working to ban permanently access to tobacco commercial products made from the tobacco plant by the year 2030. Okay. There's also an active ban to get rid of the nicotine access to commercial agents that have patches, pouches, and the like. Philip Morris Incorporated will not let it happen. There's no way. They pay too much money to all these lobbying powers. That's what they're going to do. That's not even my main concern. Ready for the main concern?
Hit me.
I just told you what they did with Coumadin
Mhm.
when they FDA approved Coumadin, a synthetic form of a nutrient found in tonka beans, higher than any plant on earth. They banned tonka beans from American food supply and said it's toxic, dangerous, you can't eat it. But what we took from it, we can prescribe to you as a life-saving drug. Okay, got it? Tobacco plants, which are a part of the nightshade family of plants, tobacco is now being told to you that it's dangerous, toxic, causes cancer, and it's addictive because of nicotine. So we need to ban that plant from access, from all of you having access to it. That's what they're doing for the same flipping reason. Did you know? Just have to tell you, Adrian, did you know there's at least 20 pharmaceutical companies right now who have synthetic nicotine drugs that they have patents on? The
Mm.
moment they get the ban on the tobacco plants and all the nicotine products as much as possible, they'll go after Philip Morris. They'll try to tank Philip Morris in their efforts to have the e-cig nicotine pouches from tobacco products. They'll try to go after them in favor of their profit and greed that they have found by synthetically manufacturing nutrients found in other plants throughout history and then calling it a prescription drug, buying off the FDA to do an FDA approval. Then all the countries around the world will start carrying in their pharmacies synthetic nicotine compounds. Big pharma can charge you copays and huge amounts for in favor of the cheaper you can grow it on your own tobacco plant or nicotine products that you could buy over the counter. That's what's happening right now. They know nicotine is a problem because yours truly and you out there and other outfits like you have helped me get to the world that nicotine was the perfect antidote and vaccine for COVID 19.
Mhm.
Instead, what Big Pharma and the governments of the world wanted you to believe was the only savior to save you, your family, your children, your grandparents, your teachers, whoever. The only way anybody's going to be saved is if you take our unproven, non safe, and non effective, it's never been proven to be, COVID 19 vaccines.
Mm.
So they've absolutely been hell bent to make sure all of the stuff about nicotine that medical science and pharmaceutical giants have been paying scientists to do. This is what's so funny, Adrian. They literally are paying these scientists to break down the tobacco plant, study nicotine and tobacco components, and what does it do in mammals all over the world. And when they figure out that nicotine found in tobacco and that tobacco, the plant alone, can cure and prevent Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, MS, ulcerative colitis, all these arthritis is known around the world. Autism can be improved. Myocarditis, damage from the COVID 19 shots, can be reversed in 3 days with nicotine from the tobacco plant. Holy crap, in 3 days? 6 days, all long COVID symptoms can be reversed with a nicotine patch on the skin. What? Without any addictive quality, no side effects. What is a problem for Big Pharma?
Mm.
Big Pharma's fifth most revenuing producing product worldwide every year are vaccines.
Yeah.
Not tobacco, not nicotine, vaccines. So, in order to make sure their revenue keeps skyrocketing as they keep lying to you that viruses are coming out of every animal's rear end and out of their lungs to make you sick. Oh my God, all of them are ridiculous. Did you hear about the new Nipah virus out of Malaysia? Supposedly pooped out of bats. Oh my God, come on, let go of the bats, man. This is Nipah virus. Y'all are ridiculous. Let it go. Oh, you know what they did publish about this new virus coming July 4th, 2025? There
Wow.
is no drug candidate, no vaccine. So they're doing a fast track rush to create a new unproven vaccine for this one. But do you know what they've already written in scientific medical journals? That remdesivir is proving to be effective against the Nipah virus. Oh, yeah? Remdesivir wasn't even proven to be effective against COVID 19, and it wasn't proven effective against Ebola. It was actually proven to be the most toxic, deadly drug in all the human trials. Yet here we are again. Let's just rehearse the same story because we didn't get enough people poisoned with remdesivir that we had planned on. Why? Because Dr. Ardis and other doctors wouldn't shut up, making sure you knew the truth. All right, so this is my worry about the nicotine thing.
Mm.
My overall worry is that big pharma is working to create patented synthetic nicotine versions of that compound found in plants and all your nightshade vegetables. They're going to want to bastardize it, adulterate it, and make you convinced that the plants are far toxic and deadly. Only trust our FDA approved drugs made from these compounds. No different than Coumadin and the tonka bean history, which you'll read about in my book, Moving Beyond COVID-19 Lies.
Are you over 40, successful but unfulfilled? Do you feel stuck, like you're not truly living up to who you really are? So many high achievers wake up and think, I'm a good person, I read all the books, I listen to all the podcasts, yet there's something missing. Well, you're not alone. I've been there myself quite a few times. And quite frankly, it took a lot of years of really fucking around, trying to figure out what I now call your higher self blueprint, which has enabled me to live a life and make a living with my passions and my purpose. If you're ready to break free from a life that's holding you back, I'm hosting a free training around the 5 pillars of success that will enable you to create a more meaningful, fulfilling, and purposeful life. So click the link in the show notes, and I look forward to seeing you in the training. But for now, let's get back to the podcast.
Holy shit. Look, it's not surprising. And I remember throughout the pandemic as well, like I remember even like our local hardware store or places that you could go to buy like gardening centers. You couldn't buy seeds, to grow your own vegetables and stuff like that. They had a shortage on tomato plants and all that kind of stuff. So it wouldn't surprise me if they were to stop anyone trying to like grow it yourself or anything like that. Is that possible? Is that something we can do? Like, can you grow tobacco anywhere? Is
Absolutely.
it native
Oh, yeah.
to certain areas or not?
Oh, yeah. So, just speaking about tobacco in general, I have learned tons about tobacco that I didn't know 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago. I learned and was programmed to believe everything about tobacco and nicotine that you have thought and believed and worried about nicotine and tobacco products. I was the same way until 3.5 years ago
Mm,
when I learned that nicotine was published by science to be the all-time cure for COVID, and that's why smokers of tobacco products were the least affected by COVID-19 worldwide.
mm,
But the moment that was published in medical journals, all mainstream media personalities, including federal health agencies like Dr. Anthony Fauci, Joe Biden, all of them came into the media to make sure you knew a separate, different lie, exactly the opposite of what's published by scientists all over the world. They said smokers are the most affected by COVID, ending in hospitals more than anybody else and dying from that. That is not what was reported by science, but they all needed to make sure you believe something different. So they had to lie to you about nicotine in favor of drug protocols in the hospital, hoping you would get sick if you avoided the tobacco products. And then, of course, the vaccines is the better alternative, right?
of
So,
course.
so that is just the disgusting part of that. So, oh wait, what was your question again? Sorry, I just went off a
Can you
tangent there.
grow it? I mean, like,
Oh, can you
I
grow it?
know,
Yes.
like,
So this
I
is
know you've spoken about before, like with nicotine, it's found in nightshades and capsicum and celery and all these sorts of things. But obviously, you have to eat copious amounts of it in order to
of course.
get even a gram of it, right? But if we're talking about tobacco plants, well, then maybe you could grow your own, and you could start to have your little melting pot of little goodness in your home, in your backyard.
Yep. I actually was flown to London twice now in the last year because of King Charles's speech 2 years ago, where he came out and said, "We're going to be permanently banning access to all tobacco products and nicotine products, but to anybody born after January 1st, 2009. Ever again, you can never get those products." So I was flown to London to do presentations about nicotine and tobacco, and there I did educate people. They're only talking about commercially accessible tobacco products.
Mhm.
Why? Because they know most of us don't garden, most of us don't grow our own food, our own plants.
Sure.
However, you could get organic seeds, and I've taught people this in England. You can go get organic seeds of tobacco and plant your own.
Mm.
And just so you know, I don't even plant my own, but I do buy organic Virginia FLUE versions of tobacco leaf.
Yeah.
And I have literally in my home right now a $200 box of just tons of leaves of this tobacco plant. And every week, my wife and I steep 3 big leaves of tobacco in water. And then we store it in the fridge. It'll last about about a week. And then you'll start seeing mold and other stuff and fungi growing in there. And then you just throw it away and do the next batch.
Mhm.
And what we do with it is foot soaks, hair rinses, scalp rinses to absorb this stuff. And you can even add it to teas.
Yeah,
Like
nice.
mix it in your tea and drink it. It
Mhm.
is a incredible medicinal plant. In fact, I'm about to do a presentation on the drartistshow.com. I'm already building out the PowerPoint. It is all of the known medical conditions that the tobacco plant has been published since 1492 to cure. And I'm going to take the audiences through all of them. It is miraculous, all the organs and all the ways they've used tobacco for years to heal the human body of all kinds of infirmities. So it's going to be very exciting to do that and produce that. It'll be here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. It'll be exciting. But if you want to learn more about that, you can grow
Amazing.
your own. You can buy your own. They're trying to deny all access to commercialized tobacco products, nicotine agents, by the year 2030, 200 different countries. They'll start with tobacco, then you'll go to the nicotine agents. They're going to get rid of the nicotine agents too in favor of prescription nicotine.
Mhm.
This is no different than this. In Australia, I guarantee you, all your medical doctors have been conditioned, as we are here in the United States, to tell your patients that eating too much salt is bad for you. And you have to limit your amount of salt you consume every day lower than 2,000 milligrams a day. That's generally what they'll say. FDA is 2,200 milligrams. The American Heart Association says no more than 1,100. And I just want y'all to know the reason why they tell you to reduce your salt intake is because they know your kidneys, designed by God or by Mother Nature or evolution, whatever you believe. It doesn't matter what you believe. Your kidneys actually operate to produce urine from the water you consume
Mhm.
through what are called sodium potassium pumps. That means they're salt potassium pumps. Guess what happens when you devoid the human body of enough salt? You shut down those pumps. And then guess what happens to you? You accumulate water. Guess what happens when you start accumulating water? Your blood pressure goes up. Guess what happens to you? You start getting migraines, you start getting headaches, you start getting flush, you don't feel well, you go to your medical doctor, they're going to prescribe a
Cool.
diuretic to you to make your kidneys pee.
Mm.
And that prescription pill is going to either be called Lasix or HCTZ is what you will see on the label, which stands for hydrochlorothiazide. Do you know what HCTZ and Lasix is that you're paying a deductible for, copay for in America, or your socialized medicine out there in Australia, what your tax dollars are going for, that they are supplying you with this drug? Do you know what it is that they are prescribing to you?
Tell me.
Synthetic salt.
Huh. Fuck. It never ends.
But they tell you salt's bad for you and you should reduce your amount of salt. Now, I'd like to ask everybody in Australia watching this, and I know you have a global audience. Everybody in Australia, any of you out there raising animals for consumption that are mammals? And any of you ranchers out there raising animals for human consumption, how many of you put salt licks out in your fields for your animals to lick freely? Because all mammals have kidneys. All those mammals require salt. In fact, your brain can't even function without salt. So if you want to create depression, you want to create a metabolically deficient human being, you want to shut down their kidneys and increase their blood pressure and increase their risk for heart attacks and strokes, limit your salt intake. This is not a joke, man. The Lancet in 2016 published a study out of Tel Aviv, Israel. They did a study of 490,000 people in 49 countries. It was the largest study ever conducted, reviewing and surveying people over a 10 to 20 year period. How much salt do you consume in those 49 countries every day on average in your diet? And then with all of those people following their dietary intake of salt, they want to know, what's your average blood pressure every day? The Lancet published the results of this study from Tel Aviv, Israel. You know what the study concluded? The countries that have citizens that eat the most salt have the least heart disease diagnosed, the least heart attacks, and the least strokes. And when they said in the research study that those with the lowest amount of that normal range of salt they determined in the research study was leading to the best heart health, they said in that range, it was 6,000 milligrams to 9,000 milligrams of salt was the sweet spot for the individuals daily.
Wow.
Do not have high blood pressure, no risk factors for heart disease or strokes or plaquing in their arteries. They said the people in the lowest group in that group, 6,000 to 9,000 milligrams, still had the better outcomes than those who had lower.
Mhm.
But as you went even higher, from 6,000 milligrams to 9,000 milligrams a day, you saw lower and more improved blood pressure results, least people with strokes, least people affected with heart disease or diagnosed with it and having heart attacks. Okay, the Lancet in England, their number one medical journal, publishes the research study. Do you know what happened within 1 week, Adrian?
I got taken down.
This is in England.
Yeah.
Okay, this is actually sponsored by Oxford, brought to you by England.
Mhm.
This is what's amazing. The American Heart Association sued the Lancet and said, you better take that study down and retract it, or you're not going to get any funding from us. Okay. Do you know what the American Heart Association's mission statement reads? We're here to uncover, we're here to take donations and fund research to eradicate, reverse, and cure people of heart disease. Oh, really? Really? Okay. They just blew the lid off of your lie you've been publishing, American Heart Association, which you keep saying everyone in the world should be consuming less than 1,100 milligrams of salt a day. Or if you eat more than that, you're going to develop heart disease and strokes and high blood pressure. Hold up. No, no, no. What was found by scientists, not bought off by the AHA, the American Heart Association, they actually were able to prove over the biggest study covering 49 countries that those people in all those countries that eat the most salt, and not just more than the American Heart Association says, 9 times more than the
Yeah.
American Heart Association
Both of
says,
them. Yeah.
have the best blood pressure readings, least amount of strokes, least amount of heart attacks. So this is what's awesome. This is what I loved about the Lancet. The American Heart Association threatened them to retract that study. Don't let it get out. Can't let this out. And you know what's awesome? The Lancet left it there. They left it on the medical journal and they said, hey, we'll take your retraction. We're just going to put your notice that you don't agree with this study at the top of the study. So you go read it. You go read the American Heart Association's whining and complaining that we can't let this information get out. Why? Everybody, listen to me in Australia. If you had a heart attack right now, if Adrian fell over right now and had a heart attack, and anybody in that house calls 911, the first thing they're going to do is if his heart is stopped and there's no pulse, they're going to take this AED device, stick the pads on his chest, shock him to life. Do you know what the very next thing is they're going to do before they even put him in the ambulance?
Saline.
They're going to inject him into his left arm, most likely, a little needle with a tube attached to a bag of salt water called saline that has, guess how much salt in it? 9,000 milligrams of salt. Just like the Tel Aviv University published, if you get that every day, you don't develop high blood pressure, you don't develop strokes. It's the first action all medical professionals and EMTs and paramedics are taught to do in somebody they find who's had a heart attack, is unconscious, has stroke level high blood pressure, inject them with 9,000 milligrams of salt immediately.
Yep.
Okay. Why do they tell you that? Do you know how much money Australia pays for their bags of saline? There's a federal contract actually.
Really?
Yeah, it's $2 a bag. Do you know what they charge? You know what they are charged for that $2 bag they purchase and then give to you, or they take out of your tax dollars to pay for it?
Not much.
For a child, it's $383 a bag of
Ooh,
salt water. For an
wow.
adult, it's $795 for an adult.
Fuck.
It's one of the biggest money makers for all medical professionals in the whole world is salt. And every single human being on earth that goes seeking medical attention ever, think about it. Close your eyes and think about every person in an ambulance and everybody in every hospital room in the whole world. They only have one thing in common, no matter what their complaint is, that they're all being pumped full of every 24 hours that they're in there.
Mm.
Salt water. Why? They have convinced the whole world to not eat enough salt. And because you're not, you're now deficient. And they know the human body breaks down in a billion ways when you're not giving it its basic nutrients. And when you come clamoring for help, they know they're going to inject 9,000 milligrams of salt inside of you. Finally, you've got enough salt inside of you. You're going to feel better. And you're going to have this aha moment within 5 minutes. I'm so glad in the ambulance. I'm so glad I'm here. I already feel better. Oh, no, you think you're better because the medical doctor showed up or the paramedics. No, no, no. You feel better because they gave you an essential nutrient they've told you not to consume your whole life in favor of theirs. We can charge you more for our medically provided salt water.
We live in an
Anyway,
upside down
that's how it
world.
goes.
It's unbelievable how inverted this world has become. Cholesterol, salt, nicotine, tobacco, like it's just It's unbelievable. Everything's fucking inverted. It's upside down.
Oh, let's talk about that. That's great. Yeah, you're right. Here we go. The Hegelian dialect is this. If you haven't studied the Hegelian dialect, create the problem, sell them the solution.
That's
All
it.
right, so here we go. So they're going to create a problem. The problem was this. Everybody needs to consume a low-fat diet. Okay. Everybody needs to consume a low-fat diet. Obesity, strokes, heart attack, diabetes, all that's related to you eating too much fat. That's what they told you. You got to reduce your fat intake. All right, so all of you did it. You reduced your fat. And then they did this. Oh, wait, we found there's a chemical called statins that if we give that to every mammal, it stops that mammal's liver from making cholesterol
Hmm.
from the fats they eat. All right. When you as a human eat fat, it goes into your liver and your liver converts the fat into cholesterol. This is very important for everybody to understand. All right, so fat, you've all heard cholesterol is so bad for you. Too much cholesterol is too bad. It leads to heart attacks and strokes, increases plaquing in your arteries, blah, blah. That's what you heard. That's all crap, too, just so you know. Sorry, I'll keep it G rated. That's all crap, too. All right, so they told you to not eat fat. And then when they discovered that statin drugs can even lower cholesterol further, they're like, okay, everybody needs to be on statins at these various levels of blood markers, of levels checked of cholesterol. We're going to tell you this is the minimum that's acceptable. Anything below there, you got to get it to. Anything above there is negative. Got to put you on cholesterol drugs. Do you know what happens when you restrict fat to the human body and your liver cannot make enough cholesterol from the lack of fat you're eating? Do you know what happens when you take a statin drug and you reduce further how much cholesterol your body releases? Okay, if you want to know who this benefits, it's not you, the patient. It benefits Pfizer. I'm not joking. Why? Pfizer, I think Pfizer's the company that makes Lipitor. In fact, I'm pretty confident it's their product. So whatever drug company makes Lipitor, I'm pretty sure it's Pfizer. All right. So whoever makes Lipitor and all the statin drugs, I need you to understand something. When you take a statin drug, when you reduce fat in your diet, which is required for the human body, your brain's 70% fat. How can they tell you to stop eating fat? You need fat to have a healthy brain, people. And this is how the brain works. You ready? Your liver breaks down fat, converts it into cholesterol. Do you know that serotonin hormone is made from cholesterol?
Hmm.
Do you know what serotonin does in the brain of a human? It's the hormone that makes you feel safe, makes you feel happy, and makes you feel non-anxiety, no depression. It makes you feel safe and happy. That's the serotonin hormone. All right, so if you tell people to stop eating fat and you start putting people on cholesterol drugs to lower their cholesterol, they're not eating fat to make enough cholesterol. Will that person become depressed, anxious, and fearful? You better believe it. They don't have the backbone of cholesterol to make serotonin. All right, so who does this favor? You think it favors you because they're trying to prevent heart disease. No. They're actually selling you something else. Because the moment you take your cholesterol drug, within 6 months, you're going to do your follow-up. They're going to run your liver scans, kidney scans to see if the drug's hurting your liver and your kidneys. And then you're going to say to them this, Doc, I don't understand, but in the last 6 months, I've been really down. I've been very depressed. I've been emotional. I've been sad. I don't feel motivated anymore to go to work. I'm bitchy, whatever it is they're going to say. And you know what your doctor's going to say to you? Oh, that's okay. We've got something for that. You're probably just depressed. So let's just give you an SSRI, which is an antidepressant drug. Okay. Let's put you on Prozac, Zoloft. That's what they're going to do. Okay. You're only on that drug because you can't make enough serotonin anymore because they put you on the statin drug that reduces cholesterol you need to make serotonin. Oh, and then if you're a dude who was told to reduce fat, take this cholesterol drug, anti-cholesterol drug. You come in and your cholesterol looks normal. Your doctor's like, great job, Jim. Your cholesterol's now at 280. Good job. It was at 400. How are you feeling? And you're going to go like this. Actually, my wife has a concern. I'm kind of embarrassed to tell you, but in the last 6 months, I can't even get an erection anymore. I don't even think about sex anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know, Australia, that you can't make testosterone without cholesterol? Okay, so if you lower cholesterol, you lower testosterone. Guess who this benefits? Not you. It benefits the pharmaceutical company. What's your medical doctor going to tell you the moment you go like this? I just I have no libido anymore, man. They're going to go like this. Jim, you're in your 40s. This is normal. You start losing testosterone over time. This is not normal. You're being drugged. Okay, you're being poisoned and they're reducing your testosterone, but they're going to tell you because of your age, this is normal. And what are they going to prescribe you, Adrian? Here's your Viagra to handle your erectile dysfunction, or Cialis, or whatever other drug they want to give you. This is the Hegelian dialect. We're going to lie to all of society about the basic aspects of nutrients, low salt intake, lower your fat intake, blah, blah. And now we're going to create all kinds of dysfunction and disease in these people. And they're going to come to us complaining. And we have the solution to sell you. When in fact, if you'd have been eating all the salt you were supposed to, consuming the fat you should have been, you would have never had these problems in the first place. And instead, they're going to lie to you and say it was all genetic or it's age related, and it has nothing to do with that. Every symptom of disease in life is created. 99.99% of them are created by nutrient deficiencies, vitamin and mineral deficiencies. There is no disease on earth that is caused by a prescription drug deficiency, yet all of you run for a prescription drug. Why? And if you go to your medical doctor, what do you think they're going to give you? They're going to give you a prescription. They're not going to give you a food. They're not going to go, you know what? You sure do come here a lot. You're sick a lot. You know what? I remember an old slogan when I was a kid here in Australia in the outback. I remember hearing the phrase, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. I think I would like to prescribe to you here in the outback. I would like to prescribe to you an apple a day, and we'll see you in a month. Let's see how you do. No, they're not going to tell you that. They don't get any kickbacks. That's not FDA approved. Can't do it. So
they even ask you about your diet. They don't even ask what your lifestyle is like. Also, another thing too, Dr. Ardis, you struck a chord in my mind that that whole sequence of lowering cholesterol, low fat, all that kind of stuff, it drove people, particularly in the last 30 years, to high sugar, high fructose, high carbohydrates. So then you would have the diabetes and all of the rest of it, the weight gain, and all of that just ties in so perfectly to a fat, sick, and stupid individual.
Amen. All right, so let's talk about one other great big lie. I had no idea this even existed until a month ago. I've never even heard or read this word I'm about to say out loud, okay? All right. You ever heard of a lady named Oprah Winfrey?
I do. I have.
Yeah, okay, so Oprah Winfrey comes out of retirement from primetime television and a year and a half ago or so, January of 2024, comes on TV to actually be a spokesperson community. And she's the one now that's going to tell the world what's really causing obesity. All right, so what is the whole show about? The whole show is about science and medical researchers have determined that obesity is no longer a personal issue. It's a genetic issue. There's nothing you can do about this. It is now 100% proven that people who are obese, it is a genetic predisposition. You inherited these genes. There's nothing you can do about it. In favor of what? What did they talk about? She only interviewed people that were on GLP-1 drugs called Ozempic, Wegovy, Zepbound, Trulicity, Byetta, you name it, all of those, Majorna. That's what the whole show was about. Okay? All right. You can't do anything about being fat. If you're struggling to lose weight and try, don't worry. There's nothing you can do about it. It is purely genetic. You need Big Pharma's drugs, which, by the way, Ozempic, Wegovy, all these drugs are just Gila monster venom called Exendin-4, EXENDIN-4. Go look it up. You're injecting yourself with Gila monster venom. That's not why you're fat. And how does that correct your genetic issue anyway? It's so dumb. All right. So Oprah Winfrey tells you it's okay if you're fat. There's nothing you can do about it. Even if you try, it doesn't matter. Hey, Adrian, did you know I learned something just in the last month that I had no idea? Did you know that in cosmetics that all of us use, even you in Australia, did you know that there's ingredients in your cosmetics you put on your body that are called by medical researchers obesogens? Mm-hmm. The term is obesogens. And did you know that obesogens are published to make a human fat and keep them fat no matter what? What are some of these ingredients? Polysorbate 80 is one of them. You might want to check your vaccine package inserts. You might want to check your ivermectin prescription. It has polysorbate 80 in it. You might want to check your pickle jar. They almost all have polysorbate 80 in it, which is very weird. And then check all your cosmetics for anything that says PEG with a number, polysorbate 80. It is a known obesogen. It makes you fat. It makes the mammal accumulate fat cells, and it doesn't matter how hard you try to exercise, diet, you will not lose the fat. These are called obesogens. It's in your water supply. It's in your cosmetics. It's in your food. It's added to ice creams, for example. And I'm like, oh my God, they know in science and in medicine that there are chemicals you can put in drugs, vaccines, cosmetics, and our food supply that make human beings fat and keep them fat in favor of what? Gila Monster venom-laced injections you're going to give yourself every month called Ozempic, Wegovy, Majorna, which created a new company called Novo Nordisk, who makes these two things, Ozempic and Wegovy, in Denmark. Did you see they have a 5-year business valuation right now? They've only been selling this stuff for 5 years to America. 5 years, they now have a 2.21 trillion business valuation.
Damn.
That's what their company is worth. And 90% of that drug is bought in America. Okay, everybody listen to me. They are making you fat. They are making you sick. They are making you diseased by creating societal lies all the time, knowing you're not going to be able to figure it out as they poison you and lie to you and create malnourishment, even at your own dinner table. You're like, honey, you shouldn't eat that salt. You know, grandma and grandpa had heart disease. You shouldn't eat it. It's not good for you. I saw it on TV. I heard it from my medical doctor. No. These are all lies told to you. You will develop high blood pressure. You will develop strokes. You will develop heart disease if you avoid salt. Every mammal on earth requires it. Oh my God, look at the earth itself. It's covered with salt water, like 90% of it. All of life on earth requires salt, man. Don't let this profession lie to you. And then keep your common sense and logical mind open when you're in a hospital next time and your loved one's in the bed or you're in the bed. You might want to start asking your medical professional and hospital staff, if salt's so bad for me, why are you pumping 9,000 milligrams of salt into every single one of us the whole time we're in here, which is 9 times more than the American Heart Association says we should ever have. Ever. And then you'll start to figure out all the lies are created to create a massive profit. They can sell you some product in the future or procedure. And man, they have mastered this art of marketing and propaganda.
Oh, that's so good. How do you live a healthy life? So when we talk to all of these things, what do you do in your daily life now? How have you changed yourself and your family and the way you eat, look, your emotions, the way you think, feel, and act, your attitude towards all of these things is a shift in itself. But you have to adapt in a world that, as you've cleverly articulated through this whole podcast, is designed to fucking kill you. So, you're trying to navigate through a system that is so corrupted and co-opted, in a lot of ways. So how do you do it? How do you implement all of these things? What do you do?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for asking. Not very many people ask that stuff, but we educate people all the time on what it is simply you could do at home. So I do want to just say also, there's a website I created and founded a conference called healingfortheages.com. So if you go to healingfortheages.com, which by the way, our first year was 2023. And when I went live, everybody who bought tickets to stream it in Australia, when they went to healingfortheages.com in Australia, on your internet, it would come up and say, this website is disinformation, misinformation. You do not have access, and it has been banned in Australia. They did it in Australia, and they did it in France. It was awesome. I loved it. Yeah, I know they're watching. This is okay. They don't want you to know this info. Healingfortheages.com. On May 24th of 2025, just last month, we did a Make Your Home Healthy Again 8-hour presentation. We took the laundry room, bedroom, I took the bathroom, and Dr. Janice Schmidt took the kitchen. So if you really want to dive into that, you can download the PowerPoints. We take you through all the brands, all the products, everything we do to convert in our own home over the years to make a healthier environment in our home, because we had to learn this stuff on our own. And we've been doing this, each of us, for 25 years now with all of our families. But even I, over the last 5 years, have had to make adjustments in my own home to make this even a healthier place. So let me tell you what number one is. Number one is your water. All right, so all of life, including you and your children and your pets, you require air, water, and food in order to thrive. That's it. The quality of your air, water, and food dictates the quality of your life experience. So let's take water first, that all of life requires. All right, so It was actually that May 24th presentation, Make Your Home Healthy Again. I did this. I showed everybody what I did. I actually went on the website called ewg.org/tap water, and I typed in my zip code for the audience to watch, the international audience. I said, watch this. Type in my zip code, hit enter, and it pulls up my Plano City Municipal Water Supply Company. And it shows a report of all the chemicals that were last tested in my city and what amounts of chemicals that are poisons and toxins are at what levels above what our government in America allows and considers safe. Okay. So I'll bring it up and I went like this. I want to highlight this one chemical that's in Dr. Ardis's water supply. It's called atrazines. So I just circled it and highlighted it. And I said, now I want to show y'all what's atrazines. So I go to a research study. I showed it. If you want to go watch it, you can go download the replays. It's only like a $69 entire purchase for the conference. Go get it. It's so worth it. It's so much information. Atrazines. I showed these research studies in the last 5 years. Did you know that atrazines in water, if you give it to a male mammal of any kind, even humans, I only showed human studies. When a human drinks atrazine, atrazine goes into the testicles of the male and converts the testicular cells of the male into what are called oocytes. oocytes. Do you know what an oocyte is? For those of you that don't know, that's Latin for ovary cells.
Yeah.
Oocytes are what release eggs and make eggs in the ovaries of a female. They actually write that atrazine is a known chemical that in human beings will feminize a male and turn it into a female, producing female hormones.
Fuck.
Transgenderism, anybody? You were just born that way? How do you know? How do you know? Because they write that for 4 generations after a mother consumes it and they have a male fetus, it will impact the actual hormone production and development of that male for 4 generations. Okay, I was just born like, yeah, you might have been, but it was actually intentional. And there are chemicals they're putting in your water supply. Okay, this was just in my water in Dallas, Texas. So I had to explain to everybody here, what did I do? All right, so 3 years ago, I had an entire water softener system and filtering system put in my garage, and it actually goes out to the water main out in my cul-de-sac in my neighborhood. So the water that comes from the city has to go into that whole home water filtering system first. That, by the way, I put tons of salt into, just so you know. It requires salt. I just dump big bags of salt in there because water and life, humans, my family, we all need salt. All right, so you put it in there. I have that whole water filtering system. It comes into my home, and I had a reverse osmosis system put into my kitchen sink where we cook and drink from. From the RO system, just so you know, if y'all want to know everything we do to make sure our children, our family all have healthy water supply, because they literally put tons of poisons in your water. They just do. Okay, it's sad, but they do, because they know you all require it to drink it. So they're going to create problems. You're going to get sick. Where are you going to go? You're going to call 911 or whatever the number is in Australia. You're going to end up in the ER, end up in an ambulance, end up in a hospital, and they're going to give you all the nutrients you needed anyway because they poisoned you outside of that. All right, so we have our RO system. We have a gravity filter system next. Put all the RO water into a gravity filter. It just filters down into this stationary device. I take the water out of that, put it into a distiller. Then it goes in through a structuring device. I just pour the water from the distiller into the jars and the pitchers that we drink from only. And everybody in the family loves this system. It's not that hard. Once you put it in, it's easy. And once you're into the habit of doing it, it has been amazing. We have at healingfortheages.com a whole home brewed holy water guide. And we actually tell you everything we do, all the devices we use, what works, what doesn't work. Don't waste your money here. Go try here. Anyway, we take you through all of that and how we did it. The next thing is your air. So you got water, you have air. If you could just make sure your water, air, and your food are better, your whole life transforms. It is miraculous. Now, when it comes to food, this is probably the most difficult, but air is big too. Make sure your filters are being changed. If you have central air in your home, make sure those are consistently changed and make sure you don't have any mold. We went through a ton of stuff on mold. If you have a black light, and if you want to know if you have mold in your home, go turn off the lights in your home, go buy a black light on Amazon.com and go walk around your bathrooms, your bedrooms, and all the mold lights up everywhere. It's crazy disgusting. You think your house looks clean and it ain't. Even we were shocked when we bought these. We actually were doing them and showing everybody in our conference what we found in our own homes. We're like, oh my goodness, I had no idea. Even when you flush your toilet, it sprays water even all over your walls, and then mold grows in those little droplets. You never even see them. And nobody's in there wiping the walls down all the time, but we could see it like floor to ceiling. I was like, my whole bathroom's lit up like a Christmas tree. I was like, what the? I thought my stuff was clean. So then we walked people through what you would use to clean that. We use borax to clean it. We use apple cider vinegar, hydrogen peroxide. It wipes it all out. It's super easy. And it's cheap. It's not expensive. It's very easy. All right. So mold is a big deal. You want to make sure your filters are clean. You got clean air. That's the no-brainer one. Food. All right. This is what you need to do. Food's probably the biggest one for most people, right? You're putting stuff in your mouth every day, all day long. Generally more than you probably drink water. All right, so with food, there's a general recommendation I've given to people nonstop. You need to reduce your refined sugar intake, period. If people have a hard time with that, I would always tell them in practice, please download an anti-candida recommended dietary protocol. And it will give you the basic guidelines. It will restrict you from breads, yeast products, sugar, candy, cookies, ice cream. And if you just follow the recommendations on a general, go download, there's hundreds of them. Go download a guide for free online, anti-candida diet, download it, consume those foods 80% of the time, not 100%. If you follow the 80-20 rule, you're not going to get sick. You can go drink your Fosters, which I've heard on American commercials is Australian for beer. Okay, go drink your Fosters on the weekend, but only do it once out of every 8 days, right? That would be 80-20 rule. Then make sure you're always drinking water. If there's one thing I could tell you.
Are you over 40, successful, but unfulfilled? Do you feel stuck, like you're not truly living up to who you really are? So many high achievers wake up and think, I'm a good person, I read all the books, I listen to all the podcasts, yet there's something missing. Well, you're not alone. I've been there myself quite a few times. And quite frankly, it took a lot of years of really fucking around, trying to figure out what I now call your higher self blueprint, which has enabled me to live a life and make a living with my passions and my purpose. If you're ready to break free from a life that's holding you back, I'm hosting a free training around the 5 pillars of success that will enable you to create a more meaningful, fulfilling, and purposeful life. So click the link in the show notes, and I look forward to seeing you in the training. But for now, let's get back to the podcast.
Number 1 cause of obesity, kidney failure, hypertension, kidney stones, you name it, is the consumption of soda, like soft drinks that are not just water. You need distilled water, filtered water. That should be your primary thing. If you want to know how far to take it, go download our guide for how to create your own home brewed holy water, we called it. You can go download it and go get it at healingfortheages.com. 80-20 rule. You should be eating 80% more wild caught, wild raised, grass fed protein sources 80% of the time. That doesn't mean 100% of the time. I am a realist. I am not a purist. There's no way this guy's a purist. No, I'm a realist. So 5 out of 7 days, I eat really good. You'll have your proteins, you have your vegetables, you have your fruits. And then, yes, I'll take my wife on dates. We'll go to movies. We'll get their food there. We'll eat whatever. It's fine. But we don't do candy, cookies, cakes, ice cream, all that stuff hardly ever. So those are the rules. Follow those anti-candida rules and then eat well, vegetables, fruits, plants, and then healthy grass-fed beef. Cage-free eggs, organic is always better, by the way. In fact, it's pretty disgusting. Did you see that Bill Gates got FDA approved for his appeal to be put on the outside of organic fruits now? This is horrific. It's just ridiculous. All right, we won't go into that. Organic foods are better, fruits and vegetables, 80% of the time, 80-20 rule if you can follow that. These are the simple guidelines. Then, outside of that, I need you to understand something here, everybody. For example, if you get a fever or one of your kids gets a fever, you do not need to rush to the medical doctor or to the hospital. A fever is a normal reaction to an infection or a poison in your kid's body. And the fever is a part of your God-designed immune response to eliminate, cook to death, the bacteria, yeast, and fungus or parasite living in your body that it has detected. If you're going to use Tylenol, Advil, Motrin, like your medical doctors are going to tell you to do, to reduce the fever, your kid now, immune system's being suppressed, they're going to be sicker longer. When if you would have just let it run its course, 99.99% of all fevers never reach the 107 point something degrees that leads to brain damage. I don't know why all you parents are freaking out at 99 degrees, 100 degrees, 101, 102, 103. I've got my kids up to 105, 106, and I didn't care. In fact, I was throwing magnesium all day, the whole time. Here, take more magnesium, magnesium, because the body will only overheat if it is magnesium deficient. As long as it has enough magnesium, the hypothalamus will never let it get to 107. It will allow it to go up to 101, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then it's monitoring when does the bacteria, virus, fungus, parasite die? At what temperature? And then it will spike and turn off. I just keep throwing the magnesium at them until it shuts off. And I've never had anybody have to get in an ice bath, call 911, go into a febrile seizure. But all of you are conditioned that every symptom on earth is scary. It's not scary. God designed you to have symptoms to eliminate poisons and to heal from things that are bothering the body. So not everything is an emergency. So stay calm. Why don't you just give your body, everybody who got a symptom of fever, aches, cough, chills, diarrhea, why don't you just rest for 48 to 72 hours? Most of you are going to be well by then. You don't have to go anywhere. Just let the body do its thing. Your pets, wild animals, what do you think they do? You know they get sick. They don't have ERs to run to. How do you think they've survived for millennia? They go and lay down in the forest when they got a tummy ache, and they just lay there until they get better. And they wait a few days and they get better. You know what the greatest things they do? Every pet, even your dogs, they don't want to eat when they're sick. And don't force them to either. When they go into their intermittent fasting or dry fasting periods when they're sick, that's how they heal faster. So you can do the same thing. Don't force anything down your throat and go lay down. You can drink water if you want to, filtered water like I just explained. Just give the body its 48 hours to 72 hours, and most things clear up in that period. I'm not joking. I know you think it's scary. They've conditioned you to be afraid and call for every sniffle. Everything's going to end up being cancer. That's not true. They've just conditioned you and programmed you that everything is to be afraid of it, fearful of it. And I think they started with fevers with young moms, convincing all of them that a fever is bad for you. No, it's not. Oh my God. The natural processes of life, they want you convinced. God designed your body inaptly. It doesn't know what it's doing. It doesn't know how to heal itself, doesn't know how to detox itself, has no idea what it's doing. You need our man-made drugs to figure it out. No, you don't. Leave it alone. 99% of all things are fine. Remember, the pharmaceutical industry's only been around 125 years, 175 years. How did everybody live before that?
Yeah, it's a miracle.
It's a miracle any of us made it. Oh my God. It's amazing. Well, the truth is, my 5 kids, none of them been vaccinated, been given antibiotics, never been on a drug. They've had fevers, they've had coughs, they've had colds, they've had flus, they've had allergy moments at sometimes. Never once have I ever taken them to a medical doctor, and 4 of them are adults. And none of them have ever been diagnosed with a medical condition. None of them put on prescription drugs. How in the world did that happen? When you were told they all need hepatitis B vaccines from the day they're born, flu vaccines for every year they're alive, starting at 6 months old, or they can't survive the flu season. Really? My kids have survived it every year, their whole life. Now the oldest is 24, 19-year-olds is the 4th adult. None of them have ever had any of those things. They're just fine, completely healthy. None of them are obese. And all of them live by the same 80-20 rule that I raised them in. So very easy with a diet.
Amazing.
Oh, guess what?
Bryan
Did you know
Ardis.
aspirin that all of you think is so healthy from Bayer? Aspirin. Do you know where they found aspirin?
Tell me.
One of the most sold drugs in the world for pain. Do you know where they found it? In white willow bark. Oh, that's a plant too. Okay. Just so you know, they got salicylate acid out of this willow bark plant and turned it into a drug. They're getting all this stuff from nature. Go back to nature. You don't have to be afraid. Nature's got the cures. God gave it to you. Your body knows how to use them too, without the toxic side effects. There's a reason why every drug you've ever heard of, I hope in Australia, I hear America and New Zealand are the only ones that actually promote drugs on commercials. Is that true? Does Australia do it?
No.
Good. Because what y'all would have heard is everything I've heard for the last 20 years. Make sure your doctor checks your kidney and your liver functions often once you start taking this drug. Oh, you know what they're telling you, right? The drug company's telling you. This drug, this chemical is going to cause liver and kidney failure. And then they put the responsibility on the patient. Make sure your doctor checks your liver and kidney functions often once you start taking our drugs. Oh, just so you know, you never have to ask a human ever. Make sure your medical doctor checks your liver and kidney functions often once you start eating apples. Once you start eating broccoli sprouts or Brussels sprouts. You're never going to hear that because food in its natural form is not toxic to the human body. But drugs always are. Chemicals always are. They don't belong in there. All right. Enough of my ranting. Did you get any benefits out of this conversation?
Yeah, it was good. I don't think I've said holy shit or wow in one interview so many times. So it's
This is the
amazing.
world you live in, the world I navigate. It's
I
pretty
love it.
ridiculous. Yep.
Bryan, you're a great man. Thank you so much for your time and for all your information. I'm going to direct everyone to go get your book and to that website where they can download that presentation and everything like that. Yeah, I think everyone should get onto it and mate, you're just doing such great work out there. So I appreciate you, brother. I think you're a great guy. I love listening to your other interviews and everything you're doing. So look forward to circling back sometime in the future and doing it all again.
Looking forward to it. And God bless everybody in Australia.
Thank you, mate. Have a great day.
You too.
Talk soon.